Hello and welcome to the Warrington Scoop podcast. I'm Charles.
And I'm Mike.
And we're here every month to explore all the brilliant things happening in and around Warrington.
Some you might already know about and some you won't. We want to talk about the people doing great things for our town.
Since we started the podcast, we've talked to a lot of people from Warrington businesses and heard a lot about the Warrington Business Improvement District, or BID. But we wanted to know more about what it is and does for our town. So today I chat to Andrea Morley to get the scoop on Warrington's BID.
We've also picked out some of the events happening over this festive season, and we'll tell you about them in our What's On guide for December.
And as if that isn't enough, we're showcasing another local business that we think you'll love. That's all coming up in December's Warrington Scoop.
Thanks for listening to Warrington Scoop podcast. Sign up to the newsletter and get events and feel-good news delivered to your email every Monday and Friday, which goes out to thousands of people. Go to warringtonscoop.co.uk now.
This month's Small Business of the Month is Pop Perch, an independent greeting card company which makes pop-out wooden cards for all occasions. Mike stayed at home for this one, as Pop Perch is run by his wife, Emma.
Emma, tell us all about what Pop Perch do.
And I sell alternative wooden greeting cards on Etsy.
And how do they look like to the readers? If you could describe what...
Yeah, so like you can buy them, they come with an envelope and that, so you can send it to a friend, but it's ultimately a card-sized piece of wood, but it's got elements that have been cut out. They're still kind of attached, so you can pop them out, and that's why the company's called Pop, and then you perch them to make a little scene. So like it could be a Christmas scene.
It's a brilliant name, I think, Pop Perch.
Yeah, Pop
It does what it says on the tin.
It does, thanks.
So this is the sort of card that you could buy for someone. They pop it out as a scene, they put it on the fireplace, they could put it away in the loft that year and bring it out the next year.
Exactly. I wanted to create a business that I could be creative and utilise my drawings, but I didn't want to contribute to plastic, so I wanted stuff that's made from recycled, sustainable wood.
Yeah, sounds good, yeah. So if someone wants to buy one of the cards, where can they find your shop?
Yeah, I'm currently on Etsy.
Yeah.
And I've got about 20 Christmas cards and about 10 birthday cards and sympathy and everything like that cards. If you just search Pop Perch card Etsy or Pop Perch wooden card Etsy, you'll find me.
Yeah.
So yeah, Warrington based, and I also do little standees, so like little positive affirmation things that you can send to your friends so they can put them on the desk. One of my favourite ones is a little thing saying, "You're just awesome," and then I've got a little lemon that says, "You're simply the zest," instead of the
Yeah,
best.
I love puns myself.
Yeah, it's got puns, so it's like, "You're such a gem," and I've got little crystals coming out. So, yeah.
They sound really good, and thanks for being our featured Business of the Month.
Oh, thanks.
The Warrington Scoop is sponsored by Vibrant Sound Media, Warrington's very own podcast production company. That's the production company behind the Warrington Scoop and my business. I work with people and businesses not just in Warrington but across the world to create audio-first podcasts that connect with people in a vibrant and engaging way. I'm always up for a chat about podcasting, so if you'd like to find out more about how it can work for you and your business, get in touch. Go to vibrantsoundmedia.com. Time for my chat with Andrea Morley from the Warrington Business Improvement District. Now, we invited Andrea down to the new podcast studio at the outset to tell us all about the Warrington BID. Welcome to Warrington Scoop, Andrea. It's a pleasure to have you here. First of all, I want to get to the bottom of exactly what the Warrington BID is.
So, Warrington BID stands for Warrington Business Improvement District. We're an organisation who operate within a tight geographical area of the town centre, and we support the business community in the town centre as well. So we have been operating in Warrington, since 2018, and BIDs actually across the world, because it's not just a thing for Warrington. There's about 340 BIDs in the UK, growing every year, seem to be becoming more and more popular. We run on 5-year terms, and we don't just pop up. The business community have to vote us to be here as well. So back in 2018, there was a ballot that went out to businesses within the town centre. They had an opportunity to vote yes or no, or not vote at all. It's entirely up to them. and the majority voted yes. And so the bid started in August 2018. We operated for 5 years, and then we went back out to consult with the businesses and say, look, we've done 5 years now. Have you liked what we've done? Yes or no? And actually, what do you want us to do for the next 5 years? Because I think what we do need to probably understand in that first 5 year period is we had a pandemic in the middle of it. So, town centres just weren't operating the same as what they would have been in normal circumstances. So, yeah, the business plan for 2018 onwards has changed slightly. And we're here now until 2028. And then we'll have to go back out to ballot again. And the town centre business community will decide whether they want us here for another 5 years.
Fantastic. So what is it that you're actually doing? So obviously the businesses are saying, yes, we want it. Do they have to do anything more in terms of that? And then what do they get for their opt-in, if it is an opt-in? Yeah.
So I'll break it down into sections, which might be easier to understand. Because I work in that environment, it comes to me, but I appreciate as well that there can be a lot of confusion around what we do, why we're here, how we operate financially as well. That's a big one. So the business community can get involved as much or as little as they want to. But we have a business plan that they essentially have created. And I work with a board of trustees. And those trustees are all made up of either town centre business owners or CEOs or managers of businesses. And it's a mix of private, public and third sector.
Right.
We have a chair of the board, which is Dave McNichol. He's the CEO of Warrington Youth Zone. We have a deputy chair, which is Ian Cox, who is the centre director for Golden Square. And then several other board members as well. And what we try and do is get somebody from the different industries across the town centre. So professional services, retail, hospitality, leisure, that sort of approach. And so the way that the bid is financed is through those town centre businesses. So if you have a business in this town centre and you have a rateable value of more than 15,000, you are required to pay a levy. So you will receive your business rate. You'll also then get an additional invoice from Warrington Borough Council for the bid levy. That equates into a pot that then comes to the bid. It can be around about £230,000 to £250,000 a year, depending on businesses that are operating and not. Those funds are then split into 3 key themes, and those themes have been chosen by the business community. So theme 1 is being passionate about our place. So this is all about making sure that we market Warrington to the visitors and our existing visitors and residents within the town, making sure that they know that this is a great place to visit, a great place to live, and importantly, to raise a family. And then the second theme is all about when they're here, giving them an enhanced experience and ultimately making them feel safe as well when they're here in the town centre. So this is all about making sure that I have a programme of events happening across the year, and that if there are areas of the town centre that we feel are potential grot spots, that we look at cleaning those up. All of this is outside the council's operating contract. So, I don't do the baseline services. That is what they're here to do. I do the add-ons. I put the cream on the cake, basically. And then our third theme is all about supporting that business community. So, that can be anything from setting up networking events, letting them know about what funding may be available to them, supporting them with business-related crime initiatives. And one of our key offers, I believe, is that we provide them with free accredited training.
Right.
So lots of the businesses take advantage of this. I ring-fence a pot of money every year that we spend on training employees across the town centre. So, that might be accredited first aid, fire marshal. We're looking at the minute on how we train people with the impending Martin's Law that's going to come in 2027.
So it's a lot more than just, say, the light switch on or anything else event-wise that is going on in the town centre. It's not just a case of businesses putting money in through the levy for you to then put events on that will hope, bring people into the town centre that will then be here to spend their money in their shops. It's a lot more than that.
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong, a big chunk of the budget goes on to events and to some of those aesthetic projects in the town centre. But there's so much more that goes on behind the scene. The organisation that I work for is a charity, and we're called Groundwork Cheshire, Lancashire and Merseyside. There are groundworks all over the UK and the world. It's a global charity. The service that the department I work for is business services. So we haven't just got Warrington BID. We've got 5 retail bids. We've got Northwich, Wimslow, Crewe, Burnley and Warrington.
Wow.
We're about to start some work in Knutsford, and we're currently just doing a feasibility study over in Widnes to see whether one is needed there. So bids are proven to work, and actually I think it's very much a way forward to keep our town centres alive. And, I think the work that we've done in Warrington over the last 7 or 8 years has had a real impact on people visiting our town centre. And I think that, along with the great partnerships that we have, particularly with Warrington Borough Council and what was the regeneration team, Warrington and Co, and places like Golden Square and the Times Square, the new Times Square area, all of those things have been huge assets that we can work with and great partners to work with. And having that body like the BID brings all these people together.
So it isn't just a subsidiary of Warrington Borough Council. It is its own entity, completely separate.
Completely.
Gets its money in through the businesses. When we're talking about, you said right at the beginning that it's let's call it a restricted operating area of Warrington Town Centre. Mm-hmm. When I think of the town centre, I kind of go from where the fountain is in the middle, the Skittles, and then work outwards in those 4 different directions for those 4 streets and essentially go to the bottom of those streets and stop? Or is it a little bit wider than that?
Yeah, it does go out a little bit wider. So we go all the way down to Lower Bridge Street, Bridgefoot really. Mm-hmm. We swing all the way round up to Banky Station, only including one side of the road, not the side that Banky is on.
Right.
Then we go up to Bank Park, and then over towards the stadium. Tesco isn't included. That's just out of our geographical area. And then we swing back round into the town centre and go round the Cockedge Centre and then along Mersey Street, but not including the side where DFS is.
Right.
And then we're back to Bridgefoot then, really. I think our town centre is growing. And it may be that when we get to BID 3 in 2028, we do need to look at just widening out that geography slightly.
Okay. And obviously within that boundary, if you like, there's an awful lot of different businesses, from the large multinationals and nationals, like your chains, like all coffee shops, McDonald's, etc., things like that. And then obviously there's all the independents as well, and the smaller businesses that are maybe have 5 or 6 different shops in different towns.
Yeah.
They all pay in. It's like as long as they meet the rateable value that you sort of stipulated before. Yeah. I don't want to say that there's no choice, because they've obviously voted for it to have the bid go, but everybody pays in as long as they're meeting that rateable value threshold. Is that right? So
if the majority of people vote yes, everybody with a rateable value over 15,000 pays in. So even if you voted no, the majority have voted yes. So you have to pay. There is then the other option that if you're a small independent and you see the value of the bid, you can join as a voluntary levy payer. So as an example, one of our voluntary payers is Warrington Cycle Hub. Yep. Mm-hmm. Their unit it doesn't reach the threshold, but Mike and the team at the Cycle Hub have become very much engaged with the bid and want to get more involved, and we support them on a marketing level. And one of the key things that's worked in their favour is the training that is available for the staff that he has in the hub. I can't remember exactly what he pays, but it's a percentage of what his current business rates are. But he sees the value in doing that. So I think Mike's on about I think it's his 2nd year now as a voluntary levy payer. So he's definitely getting the value from it there. Fantastic.
I mean, obviously, the majority of people that are going to be listening right now probably aren't business owners within the town centre. So, and this is what I kind of always sort of thought the bid was for, was just one of those three strands that you talked about, which was the events that go on and the showcasing of the businesses in the town centre. When it comes to that side of things, so if we go with the showcasing, We Are Warrington is the Instagram or the social media side of the bid. You often will get, I suppose there's going to be people, businesses that want to be featured more on that all the time.
Yeah, we get requests all the time.
And is there ever that, because of the fact, as I said, you've got the big national companies, the well-known chains, etc. There's going to have to be a balance, I suppose, between, because you would imagine that, I don't know, say McDonald's on Bridge Street, their rateable value, complete guesswork, is probably higher than a small independent cafe, for example.
Yeah.
So there must be a bit of a balancing act there, because obviously, because the levy is a percentage of the business rates. So a bigger levy will therefore maybe make people think, well, we should get more. Is there then a balancing act that you've got to do between all the businesses to make sure that everybody feels at least that there's an equality there between all of them?
To be honest, I don't get that impression from businesses. I feel like that sometimes, whereas I feel, God, like, that business hasn't done much with us, or they're not going on any of the training that we're providing. We've been in to try and get some content for marketing, and they've said, oh, no, thanks. We have to go through so many different channels. And sometimes you are picking your brain, because for me, I think, well, you've got to get value for money. And are you getting value for money? And it's really difficult, I think, to try and police that and to know that, the biggest unit in the town centre and the biggest levy payer in the town centre is Asda, over at the Cockhead Centre. Now, Asda have a policy nationwide that they just don't really engage with bids, which is really unfortunate, because I feel, they always promote themselves as a community-led supermarket, and that's the same principle as us, really. But all bids across the UK, every bid manager will tell you it's so difficult to sort of get your foot in the door at Asda. They pay the levy, but they don't really then use it, which is such a shame. But then I do think, well, as you're a supermarket though that's giving back to the community, and that's your way of doing it. I'm then putting on events that potentially you've paid a percentage to put those events on, but I'm bringing a new audience into this town centre who are then potentially coming over to Asda. If they're here all day, they might buy lunch in there, they might nip in on the way home, and that's where it is difficult to police it, because, we saw at the weekend, we've done our Christmas event, which was the big light switch on that returned after, I think it was a 7-year break, and the town was absolutely heaving. There were thousands of people there. We've had some really positive feedback from some of our partners, like the Golden Square, who have reported on the Saturday footfall was up 22%. That equates to an additional 6,000 people than a normal Saturday.
Right.
Warrington Market have turned around and said they had just under 10,000 people go through the door on Saturday. That's about 2.5 times more people than what they normally have on a Saturday. The staff were literally on the knees when I went into them at around about 8:00 on Saturday night. So yeah, that's where actually you're seeing that people are coming in and spending money in the town. So and for me, that's one of our objectives: getting more people into the town centre, spending money in Warrington.
I suppose it's because I'm originally from Northampton, and the big issue that everybody talks about back at home is how the town centre is dying.
Yeah.
It's out of town retail parks that are now the place where everybody goes.
Yeah.
Those kind of things are kind of, outside of it, but getting a lot of the people visiting them, which is causing the issue of people are saying, well, I don't bother going into town anymore. It's Northampton rather than Warrington. But therefore, there's nothing there for me now. I just don't bother. Whereas we've seen the regeneration of the Times Square, which is fantastic for, the fact that I remember what it was like beforehand, and it was nowhere near like what this is.
Yeah. And in some ways, Charles, going back further than the Times Square development, when you look at, going back 20 years ago when we started calling Palmyra Square the cultural quarter, and people were like, there's nothing cultural in Warrington, what the hell's that, what are they trying to do? And actually, we've got the theatre in the middle. One end, you've got the museum. You've got the Pyramid Art Centre, which is undergoing a renovation at the minute, due to reopen next year. And then obviously you've got the Treasury building with a fantastic food and drink offer in there. And I think, going back, there's two key restaurants that stick in my mind growing up in Warrington and being a student over at Priestley College. But the Grill on the Square, and particularly Cafe Crusoe.
Yes.
When they arrived in town and they opened up, the town centre and particularly the nighttime economy became more than Mr. Smith's and, bars at the end of Bridge Street. All of a sudden we had a food offer, that didn't shut at 5 o'clock. And, the people behind those two businesses have changed, I think, along with Warrington Borough Council, that look and feel and food and drink offer that we now have the advantage of using.
Yeah. Let's talk about the events. You mentioned the big Christmas light switch on that happened over the weekend. Really, really good to see that many people in town. Hacker the dog was there, of course. Yeah. Disappointed Sue Barker wasn't with him, but never mind. A really, really good event. I mean, I remember going to it years ago.
Me too, yeah.
I think Justin Fletcher might have turned the lights on one year as Mr. Tumble.
He did.
As himself.
Gary Barlow one year when he had his bit of a dip that nobody was interested in Gary. And as he was coming back up, we managed to bring him into Warrington. Peter Andre.
Yes.
Yeah, we even had Peter at one point. So... yeah, the return of the Christmas light switch on, as we've not seen that style of event in Warrington since particularly pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So I started working for the BID in 2021, I think it might have been, or 2022. And I came in and around about the July time of that year. And I was sort of had my head in the space that I want us to do a big Christmas event. Golden Square had stopped doing it because there was, they just didn't have budget to be putting on a big show like that. And so I started to plan what we were going to do at Christmas. And we started off a couple of years ago. We did a fantastic light and sound projection on the front of the town hall. We did a parade through the town centre. And that run for a couple of years. We did that 2 years on the run. I think what started to happen is the parade grew so much that it was really, really difficult to manage that safely.
Right.
We were doing road closures. Unfortunately, people in vehicles ignore road closures. And then, we were then potentially, putting people at risk, and that's not what we wanted to do. So we started to rethink it. And last year we went with a different approach. Unfortunately, I can't remember what storm we had. I think it might have been Storm Amy.
Yes.
She turned up that weekend and everything got postponed. And so what was really great about Storm Amy is it gave us the opportunity to just sit back. And over that weekend, I was watching so many comms on social media of what the public really, really wanted to see. And 9 times out of 10, people were saying, I don't know why we can't just have the light switch on. We used to love that. That's all we want. Why do we have to try and do everything on a big grand scale? And so I just thought at that point, let's look how we make that happen. And so with particularly Golden Square and Ian and his team and Kim over at the shopping centre, we sat down and we sort of decided how we can make it happen. And the date of the 15th and 16th came to light, and we set about finding an entertainment company that could put the show on for us. So we've worked with a company this year called Project 2, local company, and they were the people that were the creators of the show that we saw on Saturday night. What's really important, I think, to just mention at this point is when we decided we were going to do this and we were going to put bid budget towards that, and we were going to do this big light switch on, I then looked around and thought, the lights are awful. And I remember from the social media last year that there were, pictures, really negative pictures all over social media about these poor lights in Warrington Town Centre. And, bless them, like the team at the council who are putting it up, they're having to work with what they've got. And so that was the next conversation that I needed to have of, sitting down with the team in Highways and saying, right, you don't want that again. You don't want these negative comms. You're working really hard with what you've got. It's never going to be good enough. It's never going to tick the box of expectation for visitors to the town. So, how do we work together? How do we trust each other to go about and do this? So I've got to thank them really, because they have contributed towards new lights in the town. What I do need to say is that's absolutely a cost-cutting exercise for them as well. We know that they're trying to save money, and by working with me this year and for the next 2 years, that is actually saving them money. So the lighting scheme might seem like, it's costing an absolute fortune, but it's saving our council money because the BID and the businesses within that have all agreed to put some money towards it over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
And I've only done it for 3 years because that's when the BID term ends. Mm-hmm. And so I can't commit to any longer. And so we're working with a company called Field and Lawn, and they're based over in Runcorn, but actually they provide the lighting scheme in places like Oxford Street.
Right.
They came to the town, they visited me, we looked at the areas where we felt the lighting needed to be. I wanted to simplify it and bring some class into it, and that's why we've gone with the golds and the silvers and the whites, because you don't need to have multicolours flashing everywhere. No. We've done that with the trees, but we just wanted something really classy for the town, and I feel that that's what we've got this year. The impact of those lights going on Saturday night and the public and listening to the public. I mean, I didn't leave the town centre on the Saturday evening till 9:30. I didn't leave on Sunday after the markets closed until I think about 8:00. And when I was walking through Bridge Street and Market Gate, it was really lovely to see people taking selfies in front of the tree. Even, standing at Market Gate and taking a selfie down Bridge Street where you've got all the trees filled with a new lighting scheme. And then in regards to the 2 Christmas trees that we've got, so we've got one here at the town hall that's been switched on, and we've got one at Market Gate as well. And actually, they've been provided as local as Northwich Town Council have come in and done them for us. So they do provide trees all over the Northwest, really, for different towns and local authorities. And so our BID in Northwich works really closely with them. So it was the obvious choice to go to Chris and the team at Northwich Town Council and ask them to provide a quote to do 2 trees for us with a new lighting scheme. And again, just really impressed with the people that we've worked with, and then actually the result. So we've been working on Christmas since July. I feel like I'm all Christmased out now.
Yeah, I bet you are.
I'm ready. I'm ready for a break and then for 2026. But yeah, so pleased that we've been able to do it. But that's just another example where it isn't just about the BID. We can't do any of these things without our partners. Us working together make stuff happen in the town.
And I suppose the big thing about this is obviously you talked about the fact that people were having a negative experience and posting that on social media last year. So you've taken that feedback that wasn't necessarily direct feedback on board and then done something about it. Yes, you're coming at it from the angle of this will help the businesses in the town because people then will want to come into town. But also there's an element of us as residents just having a bit of pride in our town, and
Absolutely.
Therefore that provides it. Just tell us about some of the other events that you might have planned for the following year for 2026.
Yeah, so going into 2026, I think the next event that comes up will be some Lunar New Year activities. And again, it isn't something that the BID goes off and does on our own. We very much work with the events team at the council on this. And the one thing that we do support with is absolutely that marketing through the We Are Warrington channels. Yeah. Then we'll be moving more into the spring and summertime. So we're bringing back for the second year running the Food and Drink Festival. Yeah, we're going to try and extend it a little bit, but we don't want to grow too soon. The weather was fantastic, so that really, really helped the event. But that will return again in May. And the good thing about it is May has become this month in Warrington that we're signifying as the month of music, because you've got the Weekender Festival over at Victoria Park.
Yep.
You've got Warrington Music Festival in Golden Square. And so you have all this music going on at the start and the end of the month. And in between, got the Warrington Food and Drink Festival as well. So much going on in May. We're also returning with Warrington Pride. So that'll be the 13th of June. We'll be returning with VPX. And for anybody that isn't familiar with the VPX, this was an initiative that was created, I think it was 2008, through Cheshire Police, particularly a PCSO, which is our town centre PCSO, a guy called Tony Spruce. He created the VPX event, but it is an opportunity for young people across the town to be able to come along and experience different sports, different arts and crafts and things that they wouldn't necessarily be able to do. And that could be through, there just isn't the finances there for parents to be paying for it. So that happens every Wednesday throughout August. And this year was the first year that we brought it back. Yeah.
We had Tony on for our August episode. So yeah, if you want to find out a bit more about that, you can go back and find it in August episode.
I will do.
It's really good. Let's just wrap things up for you, Andrea. How can people get involved? Because obviously, yes, they're paying a part of the levy, but if there are people out there that want to get involved to help the bid, not just financially, you said that people could voluntarily pay the bid, the levy, but is there a way of them helping out in terms of the events? What would they need to do?
There absolutely is. So it's worth pointing out that Warrington BID is pretty much just me. I do have an assistant project manager, which is allocated to do one day in Warrington with me. So I can't do everything on my own. I can pull in from our wider team, groundwork that I work for, but we have got other retail bids as well. And particularly around Christmas time, everybody's having their light switch on at the same time. So at the weekend, Warrington did theirs, Burnley did theirs, and Wimslow did theirs. So that's 3 of our town centres that staff are required in. And the one thing that we are going to need moving forward is some voluntary support. So, this can be anything, from just supporting with litter picking throughout the day, or actually getting involved in supporting with marshalling, supporting some of the suppliers that we need to make sure that, on a welfare level, they've got water, that they've had a break. So volunteers are really needed. And I think moving forward into 2026, again, we've got an adventurous events programme. And now more than ever, that support is going to be needed from the public. So I would absolutely say if anybody does want to get involved and be a part of these events, then please reach out to me. And there's you can do that. Email is probably the best protocol initially. People can get in touch with me via the website if they need to. That's the Warrington BID website, or direct email andrea.morley@groundwork.org.uk.
Fabulous. We'll put the links in the show notes so people can click straight on those for you. Andrew, it's been a pleasure having you on and talking all things Warrington BID. It's been great. I've learned an awful lot from that, so that's brilliant. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Want to know what to do in Warrington this month? We've picked out some of our favourites in December's event guide.
So first we've got Christmas Artisan Market on the 7th of December at Walton Hall Gardens. It's a really good one because it's indoors, so even if it's bad weather, you can still have a walk round. And obviously afterwards you can always pop round the gardens as well, so it's always a good day out.
Fantastic. On the 19th of December at Parr Hall, Live Wire, an AC/DC tribute band, delivers a 2-hour rock show with cannons, flashing lights and Marshall amps, covering hits from Back in Black to Thunderstruck.
We've also got Christmas Gala Concert on the 21st December at the Parr Hall. The Gemini Musical Theatre Company and Manchester Opera Orchestra present a concert of classical music, popular pieces and carols.
I think my friend Simon is in that. The Gemini Musical Theatre Company should be good.
Sounds really good.
In Lymm, on the 24th of December, Christmas Eve, of course, Carols from the Cross. Every Christmas Eve, the Parish Council in Lymm arranges a choir and a brass band to entertain the masses. It's the perfect way to get you in the Christmas spirit, and it always looks really good, but I'm usually in a pub. And it's over the other side of town, so I never quite make it.
Yeah, I know the feeling. And then we've also got Stone Roses versus Oasis tribute acts at the Empire, which is on Bridge Street in Warrington, 27th of December, the ultimate Manchester tribute night where the Stone Roses and Oasis tributes go head to head. That sounds amazing.
That does sound really, really good. The Little Children's Market is taking place at Bridgewater High School on New Year's Eve. That's obviously the 31st of December. These events are always massively popular in your newsletter, Mike. Thousands of baby and children's bargains are on offer, one of our longest running events and one of our favourites too. You'll find thousands of toys, books, clothes and equipment for babies and children aged 0 to 11 years old, all at the fraction of the original cost.
That's all the events for the podcast, but obviously if you want the full guide of events, sign up to the newsletter at warringtonscoop.co.uk, and every Monday we send out a What's On guide of what to do across the town.
Thanks for listening to the Warrington Scoop. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who has gone the extra mile with their Christmas decorations this year.
Not me. And don't forget, as we just said, sign up to the newsletter to stay in the know with the events happening around Warrington. There's a link in the show notes.
If you'd like to have your business or organisation appear on the podcast, send an email to podcast@warringtonscoop.co.uk. We hope you have a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And of course, we'll be back in 2026 with a brand new episode of the Warrington Scoop podcast.
Get the scoop.